Johannesburg. Now, yesterday was World International Space Day, and the Soviet Union, as you know, has been the world's leading country in space technology. Some people don't know that. Their programs include rocketry and space exploration programs. This was the situation in the 1930s until the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. The Soviet space program was responsible for a number of pioneering accomplishments in space flight. Now, to discuss those landmark achievements, we were joined from our Pretoria studio by the Russian ambassador to South Africa, Mikhail Petrakov. And I began by asking him, what are some of the greatest achievements of the Russian space program? And here is what he had to say.
Indeed, today is an auspicious day. It's a matter of our national pride, for this reflects the contribution of my country and my people to the progress of humankind as such. But it also of international significance, and it's a good occasion to ponder on many issues like what it will be the course of development of humanity, where we shall be getting our resources from in the future. It's the issue of security, whether weapons will be deployed in space or not. And of course, Russia is strongly for no first placement of space and not deployment of weapons weapons in space. As for the achievements which you're asking about, let me first speak, of course, about the launch of the first Cosmonaut in space. Actually, it took place 55 years ago at 9 hours, 7 minutes Moscow time, so 10 hours, 7 minutes South African time. And the first human in space conducted there 108 minutes. Let me say a couple of words about the person, Yuri Gagarin. Of course, the world knows him as the first person in space, but I should say that he was a common boy from a peasant family from the west of Russia who became a military pilot, and he was specially selected. It's very interesting to read his profile done by Soviet psychologists who marked in particular his character, his leadership qualities, his ability to grasp new information, his intelligence, and, quote, his body and soul were pure, unquote. So he was launched in Vostok spacecraft on the 12th of April 1961. And of course it was a great risk. You should remember that that were the days of space race between the Soviet Union and the United States. And Americans wanted to launch their astronaut on the 6th of May. So our chief space constructor Korolev took risks and put the launch on the 12th of April. Why I'm speaking about the risks, it was not that all the safety systems were in place. For example, for the first 20 seconds of flight, there were no safety systems, and in case something happened, a person from the ground was supposed to catapult the cosmonaut out of the capsule. And they put 4 strong guys with a net nearby the launching pad to catch the cosmonaut in case that happened. But fortunately, everything went almost fine, because there were, of course, quite a few technological hiccups. And at some point in time, the capsule, while coming back to Earth, started rolling at a speed of 1 turn a second. And it was actually burning because the outside temperature was about 5,000 degrees. So you can imagine the psychological situation of the first human being in space under these conditions.
Okay, now that was the first one, Ambassador. So what happened since then? Has there been a lot of other achievements that, since then up until the year 2016?
since then, we had the first woman in space, Valentina Tereshkova, in 1963. We had the first man who made the spacewalk. We had a substantial lunar program with lunar soil brought to Earth. We had our spacecrafts launched to Venus. Also, we had Salyut Mir, and now we are having an international space station in international partnerships. So there were quite a few really important achievements which helped the humanity as such to progress in the sphere of space.
Mm-hmm. And what does the future hold, Ambassador, just very briefly?
We have an extensive space program, a lunar program, providing for a manned base on the moon between the year 2030 and 2035. We have two programs on exploring Mars and Venus, and also some important scientific studies to be done through ultraviolet and X-ray telescopes.
That was the Russian ambassador here in South Africa, and of course telling us all about that. Nash Darobia. That's where we got to leave it for now. We'll take a short break. We'll be back at the top of the hour. You have to stay tuned.